If you're struggling with your professional path and you need some help to shape a fulfilling and successful idea of that, this is the video for you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Richardson, and I make these videos so hopefully you can take some of the lessons I've learned quicker than I've learned them, to help share the information, to help you work through some of these things that I talk about in some of these videos, to help empower you. So again, this is going to be redefining success, how to look at success in your professional life and define it for yourself as well. Now, what's going to happen in this video, I'm going to teach you this 4-step framework. Each step is very important, with the last step being the most important to making this all happen. Now with this, and I promise you by the end of this, you will be able to define your professional success. Now, I know this works because my mentor does this himself. He's worked with this framework, and this framework honestly is universally applied to a lot of different issues, but he's applied it to his own life and he is so happy with his professional life. Same thing with me. I'm in stage 3 of this framework and I'm still just working through these things to be able to make this a reality for myself. I mean, really stage 3 and 4 for me, and I'm gonna eventually have this where my professional life is amazing as well, but it does take some time. So that brings us to the first step, which is your personal definition of success within your professional life. You really need to define, what does success look like for you? What I would encourage you to do is to challenge societal norms versus your personal goals. Maybe your personal goals for your professional success is that you work a 9 to 5, you can make it to every one of your kids' soccer games, and you are present for every one of your children at all times, or when you're home, you know what I mean? So maybe that's your goal. Amazing. If that's your goal, that is great. Maybe your goal is to have a $100 million company. Amazing. That's great. But you have to understand, what does it look like for you? What's your personal definition of success? Because a lot of people get caught up in the societal norms. They come out of college, they're like, I'm gonna get me a job that gives me money and gives me status, gives me that power. And I think a lot of people chase that. For me, I could have hopped out of college and went and worked at this 6-figure job right away if I wanted to, but I didn't. And I think I'm much more happy not doing that. I'm much more happy taking this coaching route, building my own business, because my goal is to have my own business. But you need to understand what your goals are. What are your personal goals within your career? That's the first thing to identify. Also, within this stabilization phase, it's defining where you're at and creating that personal definition of success, is to look at the impact of people who have followed societal pressures. Look at where they're at. Some people have really struggled with that, and to understand that can help you reframe yours. So you're like, oh, okay, I know this person is kind of, and it's not to look down upon anyone who has followed the societal route. Hopefully they can turn it around and go for their personal goals, but you can see the pressures and see what's happening to them. On top of that, one thing that can help you and help define your personal success is to take our balance wheel in the description below. I'm gonna ask you to take it at the end of the video, but we have 4 areas. It's gonna be relationships, resources, health, and professional. And within those 4 areas, there's 3 subcategories. And you may want to improve one subcategory over another, and then it can help you understand and create your personal definition of success. So that's the first piece, and it's a very important piece. The second piece is, what does that success look like? What does amazing look like? That's visualization. And with that, you can look back at your prior experiences. When has there been a time that you felt fulfilled and excited at your job? Or maybe what's another time that you haven't felt so fulfilled or excited? Because then you can start to weed out things or understand where you need to go. If you felt really fulfilled as a software engineer working 40 hours a week, making a good wage, then try to get back to that. Or maybe you haven't felt fulfilled and you've always wanted to start your own business. Well, there's your answer to what does amazing look like. So it's understanding, what does amazing look like 5 years, 10 years from now. And a helpful way to think about this could be these 4 situations that we have. And those 4 situations are, if you had unlimited money, what would you do with it? What would you buy? What were the kind of things you do? If you had unlimited time, and what I mean by this, let's say someone came to you and was like, hey, I'll give you double what you make right now, but you have to be working on something you love. What would you be doing? If you had 3 years to live, what are the things you'd be working on? What would you be doing? if you were at your 100th birthday, what are some of the things you'd want to be hearing? Some of that legacy piece. So those 4 things you can look at. And then you can apply that to your professional life. You're like, okay, these are the 4 situations. Okay, and that's I really want to work on that. It can help you look at what does amazing look like and what does success look like to you. Now, the third piece is that how can we get you to your success that you just defined and you visualize? This is strategy. And this is the piece that I'm still in, and understanding making my coaching a reality, making this a full-time thing for me. So it's looking at what are the skills you need. Okay, so you want to make that company. What do you need to make the company? There's a lot of things you need to develop. Understanding those and identifying those can be helpful. Also, what network do you need? Sometimes in the professional world, there's just that one piece of network that can change your life. So looking at what kind of network do you need to develop to help you get there, and what kind of strategy. For me, a big unlock was my mentor. As now I work at his company, so it's been a huge unlock in my coaching game. So looking at what do you need in your network. Also, having an attitude of learning. And I think what I mean by this is applying this to failure and growth, is that you will fail throughout this in your professional journey. You might try something new, you think you wanted it, well, I didn't want that. Or you try a strategy, well, that didn't work at all. So it's understanding that you want to continue to learn, and it's okay to fail, and the only way to lose is to quit. So you need to continue to fail, continue to grow, you'll get there eventually. The final piece of that is to create goals with predictions. Now, what I mean by this, a lot of people say, I want to lose 15 pounds. That's my goal. It's like, okay, 15 pounds is kind of an outcome. The real piece of a goal is I'm going to follow this diet, and I'm going to go to the gym this many times a week. It's not near as glamorous, but you create those. That's your goal, is I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week, and I'm going to follow this diet. And then your prediction is that you'll lose 15 pounds. So I'd encourage you to do that in your life, is create those goals with your predictions in your strategy to create this fulfilling professional life. Now, the final piece, the last piece of this framework, is to take action on making this happen. With this piece is execution. It's just taking your strategy and then executing upon it. So on this piece, in terms of professional things, I think a really good thing to look at is how are you going to manage your stress of your professional job. I think most jobs come with some level of stress, and how are you going to execute upon your strategy and stuff like that and manage your stress? For me, it's lifting weights and then sometimes just turning off my mind and playing some video games. Those two manage my stress pretty well, especially the lifting weights piece. That's the one that really keeps me sane and really helps me out a lot. So finding your pieces that can help you manage stress can be really helpful. Now, on top of that, understanding what barriers are going to hold you back from execution. So if you want to make a company, what barriers are going to hold you back from that? If you want to work that 9-to-5 job where you're going to be at every one of your kids' soccer games, what barriers are going to hold you back from that? So looking at what barriers along the way will prevent you or try to prevent you from getting there. Now, on top of that, what systems do you need to be successful? In my professional life, since I'm kind of running my own business, it's up to me to be the manager, but also the worker. So for me, I have these little sticky notes that are really helpful for me to just track everything I need to do in a day to be successful, how many hours do I need to be working to be on pace, stuff like that. So create your systems to be successful. So again, that's redefining success. If you made it to the end, take that balance wheel because it can really help you identify your values to be successful.